Yo, welcome everyone, Sanju Chie here. I think it would be a crime if I didn't talk about this movie. I just got back in from watching Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, part 1 of 3. And of course, first time experience actually when it comes on to 4DX. I mean, I'm just saying the opportunity was there, so why not take it, right? This is where the usual casual style, review, and we're here to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and of course there will be spoilers more or less. So let's get into it. So Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1. Was it worth it? Let's get to the chase. Was it worth it? Especially for the 4DX experience. My 4DX virginity? Yo, Manala, it was totally worth it. Totally worth it. At this point, as I'm telling a few persons already, if you haven't seen the movie in 4DX, I would say go back and watch the movie in 4DX. That's what I would highly recommend. And shout out to IGN. I just can't see why they would give this movie 6 out of 10, to be honest. That's just me. I'm not the biggest Demon Slayer glazer, but I'm just saying this movie it deserves more than a 6 out of 10 rating, to be honest. So yeah. So as you guys know, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1, of course, the animations to the UFO table or UFO-table, however it's appropriately pronounced. Yeah. The good part and the negative part is that, of course, some persons would say they're dragging out the production of this, adaptation, adapting the entire manga, right? But the silver line when it comes on to those complaints is that when you go into a movie like this, you can expect the production to be top quality. And that's exactly what it was with Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, right? Like from the visuals, the animation, the music, the cinematography, just how the scenes are set up, it really just brought the manga to life. I'm sure everyone's used to at this point when it comes on to Demon Slayer and its various anime adaptations, no matter if you want to criticize that they're dragging this out, because at this point, you probably can't expect part 2, or worse yet, part 3, until, say, 2029, 2030, more than likely. So this is a 3-part thing to adapt the remainder of the manga, which, if I got my math right, or if my memories, serves me right, we're adapting. There's only 70 chapters from the start of where this movie starts adapting till the end of the story. So have with that what you will. But yeah, as I said, the silver lining to the whole dragging out criticism is that this movie definitely top notch when it comes on to the production value, the visuals, the music. It just hits. And as I said, with the 4DX experience, the immersion, dog, it was like beautiful, beautiful. So of course, this movie starts off the final arc of the story, the Infinity Castle, the battle against the final Upper Moons and Muzan. And of course, this movie, before going into it, I was kind of predicting that they would do it like this, where the first movie would cover beating Upper 6, Akaza, and Doma, and then the next movie would center on like Upper 1, and probably part of Muzan, and then the final movie being just finishing off Muzan. But this movie only focused on Akaza, of course, a bit of Doma, like the first half of the Doma fight, and we got Upper 6 defeated. But Doma's still alive, so that was the only thing I was actually wrong on, in terms of my predictions. But all in all, I think in hindsight, it works well for the future movie, this future second part. But anyway, so there's that. So of course, this movie starts out with, I think what persons would expect in hindsight, especially if you're a manga reader, they kind of use the hordes of demons within the Infinity Castle to kind of give some of the other characters things to do, like some of the other Hashira, some scenes here and there, which I must say I kind of found strange. They didn't give, Kanroji like an actual scene where she actually slashes a demon. That seemed weird to me. Even though it was kind of funny at the start of the movie, her scene with Iguro, her fangirling, which we know what it is. We know what it is between those two. So there's that. And of course, the big highlights of this movie are Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, the new Upper 6. We have Shinobu versus Doma, Upper 2. And we have the star attraction of this movie, Tanjiro and Gyu versus Akaza, the get back fight. And honestly, if I were to really rank these fights, of course, the star attraction, Tanjiro and Gyu versus Akaza, was definitely the top fight. And then, of course, I would say Zenitsu. Yo, I know a lot of persons are looking forward to him versus Kaigaku. And Shinobu versus Doma was definitely, like, I'd rank it third in this movie, definitely. But I think that's appropriate because, you know, if you look at my ranking there, it kind of goes in order of the fights in the movie. So it progressively gets better in terms of the fights, right? So that's the good part. So it kind of escalates in terms of, you know, your immersion and just, yo, your appreciation for the fight. So there's that. And again, the 4DX, I'm telling you, like, with each fight, it just got better and better experiencing this movie in 4DX with those fights escalating in terms of how good I would rank them. So there's definitely that. So one criticism I will say about the movie, and I was talking with my friends coming out to the theater, even during intermission time when it comes on to this, right? One criticism that's laid on the movie, I think, it would be the heavy use of flashbacks. And I'm kind of in a 50-50 zone when it comes on to this criticism because I can blame the movie, but at the same time, I can't blame the movie. Because as a manga reader, the movie kind of perfectly adapted the manga, at least from what I can remember. And one issue I had with the manga when I was going through years ago was like the heavy use of flashbacks in this arc. So it's kind of like the movie adapted that perfectly. So it's more a case of an issue with the source material. If it's something that nags you while you're watching the movie, it almost became comedic with my audience in the theater, where there was so many flashbacks. Some persons were actually getting tired of the flashbacks, to be honest. And I think it's a thing because the author kind of left a lot of the flashbacks when it comes on to the main characters, Akaza, Doma. You know, you don't really know much about them going into the movie. So it's kind of like in the manga, like, yeah, the author just kind of saved it till this point, so it kind of becomes a bit exhausting. I mean, especially when it comes on to not just learning about the characters, but even when it comes on to big turnaround moments, when it comes on to abilities, there needs to be a flashback for that too. So I will say it can become a bit exhausting, like the flashback after flashback after flashback. And I know it's important to kind of balance the action scenes with those flashback scenes because they do kind of slow down the action, kind of helps to balance it. But if I were to put like the action sequences and the fight sequences on the scale, I would say the flashbacks kind of tip the scale just a bit. So go into it expecting that. please. But I wouldn't say it's to the point where I would deduct like a lot of points from my overall rating, really and truly. So I'm just saying, it's definitely not gonna reduce the rating to a 6 out of 10 for you. not like IGN. So you gotta bear that in mind. So there's that. Yeah, so the fight between Shinobu, again, and Doma, first fight, it was decent. Of course, flashbacks. To kind of get you more, I guess, invested in what's going on in terms of the skirmish between them. I did like the fight scenes just showcasing Shinobu's speed against Doma. Pretty cool. And of course, if I were to steal a line from Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm, the strongest power in the ninja world, well, in the Demon Slayer world at this point, poison. So, you know, there's that being employed. So it was pretty good. And, you know, I can't help but, you know, keep bringing in back the 4DX aspect, right? Because again, as the fights progress, as I gave my rank earlier, it just got better and better. So it was good. That first fight, it was really good. I mean, even the scenes introducing, like, as the movie's starting and getting into it and the characters are still falling down, it's very immersive, honestly. So I definitely have to give it to this movie when it comes down to that. I think even if I was experiencing it in 2D, I would still be like, ooh, geez, this is pretty good. The fight between Zenitsu and Kaigaku, definitely awesome as well. If nothing else, I think what Demon Slayer has always done well is I think it's been like that story about the human human perseverance, right? And I think even though the movie was emotional in a lot of parts, but not like, I wouldn't say like cringy emotional, kind of like comedic some parts, definitely legitimately emotional some parts. But you know, when you kind of try to take away all the the gags and the laughs and whatever cringe, yeah man, like even the fight between Kaigaku and Zenitsu, his master committing seppuku just because one of his students became a demon. It's rough, and you can see that Zenitsu was definitely locked in for it, man. And him going in with his own original thunder breathing form 7, yo, that thunder god, yo, when the man light that up and just yo, that was sick. I'm just remember that in of a cheer, yo. Contain the hype. So that was sick as well, man. Nah, like. And of course, the star attraction, as I said, Gyu and Tanjiro versus Akaza, the get back fight, bro. Yo, the only thing I would change about that fight, have the Akaza theme song be more pronounced, but it was still hype. You could still hear it. Well, if you're not like wrestling for your for your balance in the 4DX experience, but you can still hear it. But yo, that fight, awesome, bro. Like the impacts. Everything was just hitting really and truly. And if I'm being, there's always something that I've been critical of when it comes on to the final arc of Demon Slayer, and it ties into the whole negative of the constant flashbacks and constant use of it, right? And it's it's Tanjiro's Ultra Instinct moment. Like, if I were to just criticize it comedically, I would say, dog, like, you know, there was this one time I saw my dad do something. Power boost. Like, if I'm being really critical, that's why it sometimes feels like going through the final arc. And you'll continue to, this will be a recurring thing going into the second movie. Well, more so the third movie, I would say. So there's that. And I know, like, before they had this whole establishing about inherited memories and all of that jazz and blues, but come on, fam. Come on. It almost comes off like bullshit. And also, you know, that moment when you're in the theater, you're like, are we sure these special effects aren't just... Are we sure these guys don't have powers? Are we sure? Because it's crazy, bro. You can't tell me these guys don't have powers. You can't tell me the effects are just special effects just to symbolize their fighting style. It's crazy. No, these guys got powers now. If you're falling in the air and you can like bounce off the air and go back up, nah, you got powers. If you're breaking bridges but with your speed, you got powers, bro. You're superhuman. My theory, the breathing styles are like a gift from the gods. It's divine blessings to counteract the demons in the world to kind of get some balance. That's my theory. So, yeah. But yeah, man. So the fights between Gyu, Tanjiro, and Akaza, great stuff. Of course, it really does showcase the growth of Tanjiro, right? Because they do highlight in that fight, like, yo, Tanjiro has really come a long way. And that's one thing I will give to Demon Slayer. Like, after every major arc, there's been training, there's been growth, and you can see it steadily. So apart from the random memory power up bullshit, like, generally, I can give that Tanjiro has definitely earned his strength, right? So there's that. And yo, the Akaza flashback, I mean, even as a manga reader, it was seeing it like animated and boy, it's just bittersweet, right? Bittersweet. And I think at the end of the day, which is again a recurring theme about the demons, well, I guess 70 to 75% of the demons that are killed in this series, there is always a tragic backstory, and I think it is a way to, how should I put it? A way like relating to real life, where persons definitely have things that they've gone through in life. They have their traumas, and you know, it's not to excuse the things that they do at, you know, future points in their life, but you know, you can see where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, they might still go to hell. Which, you know, our theater had a good laugh when Akaza's master was saying like, yo, dog, you can give up, no. You're not gonna make it to heaven, no. But that was actually kind of polite. sorry. But God. But yeah, it was good. It was good in terms of seeing the nuance when it comes on to the demons and where they were coming from, Akaza specifically in this case. So there was pretty much that, and the movie kind of basically ends with a very extended flashback when it comes on to Akaza and how he got to where he is right now. And I mean, again, if you're a manga reader, you guys know, I mean, if Akaza really wanted to, Tanjiro and Gi would have been dead. At the end of the day, Akaza took himself out. At the end of the day. So there is definitely that. But all in all, I will say this was good. It was really good. Really good. As I said, the production value, the music, the fighting, the animation. The only criticism was like, yeah, the flashbacks can be a bit overwhelming, a bit exhaustive, I would say, but not to the point where I would say reduce the rating a lot. So, like, out of just my general experience coming out of the theater, I would say it's a 10 out of 10. But if I'm being critical with everything that I've mentioned, I don't think I would go lower than a 9. Probably on a bad day, maybe 8.5, but I think 9 is a solid outing when it comes on to this first movie. So there's that. Most of the issues, again, is it is like, again, I can't really blame the movie. It's more of a source material problem at the end of the day. So the movie in itself, I guess, with that train of thought, I guess you could definitely give it a 10 out of 10. But again, yeah, me being critical, I would put it at a 9. So that's me. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought about my thoughts on the movie. If there's anything I missed, you can definitely leave a comment we talk about in the comment section, or you know, in the end of month subscriber stream, we could definitely talk about it there. So yeah. Anyway, I'm yapping. I think I've said enough. I'll see you guys in the next one.